One important issue is particularly that we are in the Senate, and particularly that distinguished senators are to be in the vanguard for the sustenance of democracy. Insofar as the constitution of our party did not preclude any member of the party from contesting any election, whether there's an incumbent or not, I think what I merely did was to exercise my right to contest. I knew, and I remember that questions were asked and I appropriately answered them. So what I have done is in consonance with the ideals of democracy. And I mean, we have at the national level, an incumbent who was president of Nigeria, and somebody who virtually came from nowhere defeated him. It was still possible for me to defeat if there was proper primary. But there was no primary, and I tell you why. So, sorry. I want to conclude. Should I stop it? Senator Goye is asking me to stop. So I did not lose woefully. I want to put it on record. Sorry. That's all right. As to the question whether I will contest in future. Thank you.
You were talking about your views on judicial reform. I think that was the last. I think you've answered all those questions. Just one more question, then. Senator here, I think do you have any questions? You have more questions?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I'm Emmanuel Boacha, I represent Taraba South. Barrister Shittu, a careful look at your resume reveals that you are an Islamic scholar. Yes. And at that level, you must be familiar with the activities of the United Nations as it affects propagation of religions worldwide. You must also be familiar with Reverend Moon. Reverend Moon, the elder brother of Ban Ki-moon, who is heading the United Nations Religions Organization. You made an interesting remark that if you'll have your way, you will be able to recruit religious teachers to come together from different religions. Clearly, you are a student of Reverend Moon. The activity of that department in the UN is to bring all religions together in the world. Is that correct?
No. Well, I can speak for myself.
Okay, now let me learn. Now, Reverend Moon believes that if all religions come together, that they are serving the same God, then there will be peace in the world. What does this portend to the human race generally, as a religious scholar? Particularly in reference to your paper, one of your publications. Now, the part B of this question, what will be your perspective in the war against Boko Haram? That is it a religious extremism? And number 3, is there any ideological difference between the APC and the PDP? Take away General Buhari. Take away General Buhari. Are they not all the same people moving from time to time to one party and the next? This is a question. This is a question. And finally, how do you know that you are an astute debater. Is that your personal opinion? Or people have come to you and expressed this to you and also given you an award? Thank you.
Senator Abukari.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Abubakar Kyari, representing Borno North. Mr. Ministerial nominee, I can see from your CV you have had several Islamic publications, one of which is Path to Paradise. My colleague, the Deputy Minority Leader, just asked you a similar question regarding Boko Haram, which is today one of the most pressing issues confronting not even Nigeria, but terrorism worldwide. And part of the ideology that is pushing terror, especially religious terror, is to do with the path to paradise. And I can see you have a publication, even though it was published in 1991, way before the rise of Boko Haram. What would you do as a minister of the Federal Republic, in whatever capacity, in whatever ministry that you find yourself? Because being an authority, I would say, based on your CV, to Islamic affairs, would you do to handle the issue of Boko Haram? Because as we see it, military might alone could not defeat it, because we have seen situations worldwide. I have mentioned before in the past, even the mighty Russian army couldn't defeat insurgency in Chechnya. To an extent, there was a time a Russian general was asked, how come the mighty Russian army couldn't defeat the insurgency? And he replied, he said, how do you defeat an enemy that looks down the barrel of your gun and sees paradise? So we're all talking about ideology, we're talking about path to paradise. And also you have another publication that says, that deals with dawah, which also is one of those tenets that Boko Haram is hinging on. But we also find out that a lot of these Boko Haramis do not even know anything about religion. So what would you do as a minister? What advice would you give in the Federal Executive Cabinet or policy to handle the military action and the other actions that you feel that may give the rise to securing peace in the Northeast and in Nigeria as a whole? Thank you.
Senator Matthew Rugidi.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I'm Senator Matthew Urogide from Edo. First, let me lend my voice in congratulating the nominee. I have two quick questions for you. Which, number one, based on the CV that is before us, I think the essence of this hearing is to be able to ascertain your suitability for this position and, of course, the responsibilities that will go with it. Seeing your CV, about 2004 to 2007, you were a member of the Judicial Service Commission of Oyo State. And then, of course, you became the Attorney General and Commissioner of Justice of Oyo in 2007. This period, you were the Chief Law Officer in the state. And I know within this period, one of the very critical happenings in this country, which was the murder of Chief Bola Ige, happened in Oyo, in Ibadan specifically. Today, That murder is still shrouded in secrecy. Nigerians still do not know what happened.